Discuss more about how the majority of the mainstream media has just gone totally off the emotional roller coaster these days. I'm joined now by Jordan Davidson, writer and contributor for The Federalist. Jordan, welcome to Real America. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Could you hear that soundbite there from Caitlin, the reporter from The Atlantic, before this we came to you?
I did, and I think you're right. She makes a point. The left-wing media is left-wing, and mainstream media tends to follow this narrative that, conservatives don't need to have a voice, or the conservative viewpoint doesn't need to be covered. And we're seeing this kind of elite narrative being pushed on conservatives around the nation.
Yeah, and what was leading up to that soundbite that I played with her and Bill Maher was someone on the panel had just talked about conservatives going to Parler and tuning to networks like One America News. And then she made that comment about, well, what do you expect? People are going to turn to, as they called it, an echo chamber, which I think is just ridiculous to call folks that have a different opinion than the left an echo chamber. But they were discussing that folks are going to Parler or going to One America News because of what she exactly said. Folks, I don't care if you're extreme right, a little right, you're center right, or you're center. And even some folks that are smart enough center left realize when they watch the mainstream networks now, especially last night and today, after the Trump legal team press conference, they are so biased with their reporting, it is downright disgusting, and it is turning millions and millions of people off.
This is true, and we're seeing it not only in broadcast media, but also print. Just this week, a New York Times contributor wrote a story saying that Trump voters are now unreachable, and that he felt like he couldn't connect with them because they wouldn't change their opinion about what they thought. And we're seeing this repeated over and over, where these leftist mainstream institutions continue to push this elitist narrative, complaining that conservatives are beneath contempt, insulting their intelligence, insulting their beliefs, and saying, unless you believe with us, you're not going to be able to have a voice here. And it's this false unity that continues to radiate. And talk about an echo chamber, then mainstream media continues to push this narrative of unity, but all believing the same thing is not the kind of unity that I want. And 74 million Americans voted in the election and said the same thing.
Oh, I bet it's more than 74. What, we got 328 million in this country, and only 140, 150 mil voted on both sides. We don't know where the other nearly half the country stands because they didn't vote. But let me tell you, I bet you and I guarantee you most of this country somewhere aligns center right before it aligns center left. Let's talk about the programming, because I truly believe this is an effort to, and I don't know if it's a big grand scheme, because I always say on the show I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I believe in cover-ups and deliberate actions. And so I believe that we're being programmed every single day, especially since the results of the election came down that night on the 3rd and over the last 2.5 weeks, where the mainstream media every single day is just trying to beat down any possibility or hope that folks that support this president have that he may have truly won this election. And they're doing it whether it's the information like right here on the bottom of my screen, with the words they put up, with, again, their expressions, with them calling Joe Biden the president-elect. But I truly believe it's almost like a program. They want to wear Americans down so they will just shut up, sit down, and accept the outcome of this election, even though we don't have an actual winner yet until we know that every legal vote is counted. Would you agree with that?
I would completely agree. And we're just seeing this narrative getting hammered out. And we've seen it over the last 4 years. Russiagate, the Kavanaugh hearings, anything that you want to talk about in the media, they've misconstrued over the last 4 years and put conservatives and Trump in a bad light. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're being force-fed something that's not necessarily true or not the full story.
Let's talk about big tech and the censoring there, because I think it all goes together. Again, I'm not going to say it's a grand scheme, huge plan where they all get on their phones and say, hey, over here at CNN, we'll do this tonight, and over here at MSNBC, we'll do that, and this electoral canvasser person in Michigan will do this. I don't think they're all getting on the phone and doing it. I think they already have the liberal bias in their head. It's who they are as people. And they just decide, we are going to go out and do this. We are going to shut down any type of conservative voice. You guys over at The Federalist, fill me in. Have you fallen victim to good old big tech censoring, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, with any of your articles?
Absolutely. Even some of my personal articles have been censored on Twitter and Facebook recently and kind of thrown these fact checks that touch on one sentence in the story that they disagreed with. And so we're seeing this, not only do they believe differently, but they now have the means to try and silence any dissenters or anyone who believes differently than them or even reports differently than them. Some of these stories are news stories with facts and affidavits, sworn affidavits, and other documents that are backing up these claims, and they continue to censor it because they don't agree with it.
You know, I'm not sure where you went to school. I got my journalism background in the good old United States Air Force. And when we were in our journalism classes, it was you go out, you get this side, you get that side, then you report, give them equal time, and then you as the journalist, shut your mouth and let the viewer or the reader decide which way they believe this, that occurred, happened, whatever the story may be. And it seems that this new media that we're now dealing with in this day and age in 2020 has forgotten a lot about what they've done over the last 4 years to this administration. We have heard the phrase illegitimate presidency and voter fraud and foreign influence since 2015, actually. We've heard Hillary Clinton just a couple of weeks ago, right before the election, tell Joe Biden, do not concede no matter what. So I'm not sure if they all have short-term memory loss or they're all getting dementia like Joey from the block, but they're not really practicing what they preach because we've dealt with their nonsense for 4.5 years, and now we just need a few weeks to make sure this election is legitimate. And oh no, no. Can't do that, can we?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Objective journalism is something that no one can rightfully and verifiably preach anymore. And like you said, we've seen it over the last 4 years, and we're seeing it now in this new false narrative that they're preaching about unity. This this narrative that they're sending out, saying, you know, oh, it's okay now. Joe Biden is going to be president, and America's going to come together, and we're all going to give each other one big socially distanced hug. And that's just not the way it is. And it's not objective journalism by any means. So
No.
anyone claiming otherwise is completely wrong.
But I'll tell you what, and I'll say it on this show right now, and everybody can take it to the bank. If in fact, once we get to the bottom of all these investigations, if in fact Joe Biden becomes the 46th president, okay, then I'll say it, I'll declare it, I will call him our president. I will not do hashtag illegitimate and stolen election, everything they did to our president. But let me tell you what, I will keep a microscope up his you-know-what his entire 4 years to make sure that he answers for everything that was on the Hunter Biden laptop, all the exchanges of cash between China, Ukraine, and Russia. There will be hammering, I hope, from every conservative journalist like yourself who takes this, if he becomes president, to task and make sure that we know exactly what's going on in our house, the White House, if he becomes the president. Jordan Davidson from the Federalist, keep up the good work over there. Stay safe. I know, we just heard this week, lawyers on Team Trump get threats, journalists are getting threats. You speak up. I had a few nice ones on Twitter last night and today. So be safe. God bless.
You as well. Thank you.
All right, take care, Jordan. Republican leaders in the Michigan legislature have had enough of Governor Gretchen Whitmer's Orwellian-style lockdowns. Straight ahead, we're going to be joined by Michigan State Representative Matt Maddock with more details about the possibility of impeaching their out-of-control governor. Don't go away.